So today let's continue fixing or trying to fix this power supply. The Puls Dimension 24 volt 960 watt one. This is the second episode. In the first one, I reverse engineered the schematic of it, the simplified one, and I started looking for the reason it doesn't work. I noticed the burn mark between these terminals. I guess a wire brush would be too aggressive. Maybe some dishwashing sponge. Or a piece of it like this. Getting rid of the conductive layer of metal that was evaporated from these contacts and deposited on the board. Of course I can clean it more aggressively in the places where there are no tracks on the board. I have to especially get it from the narrow gap here. And that's probably as good as I can get it without causing more damage than good. It's not that bad on the counterpart. It's cleaned here and let's put it back together. And now of course testing time. Initially with a 200 watt lamp in a series. And a tiny 24 volt 3 watt lamp for indication here. And ideally this should light up, this should not light up. Let's see. Neither lights up actually. It's buzzing. No LED here. Does it have to be grounded or do I have to bridge something to enable it? It's not working. Does the mains voltage make it to the terminals which arced? Let's try to measure and... What the hell? 314 volts DC? How that's possible? This has to be before the bridge rectifier. When I was reverse engineering the power factor correction board, these two terminals went to the input of the bridge rectifier, so how it can have DC on it? This one just goes straight to live. The other one has the DC voltage on it, probing against the neutral. This thing has AC on it. This thing minus 320 volts DC. And this rectification, it doesn't come from the bridge rectifier. It seems the mains is somehow half-wave rectified on this board, which I thought is just an interference filter. The live goes straight to the terminal, which seems to be positive, so then a diode has to be going from the one that's negative to the neutral. Given these terminals arced, something has to be damaged before these, somewhere in this circuitry, which I thought is just a fuse and some very thick wire on this inductor, but I guess there should be some soft start. Maybe these terminals arcing actually blew apart some soft start circuitry, because I don't see any NTC thermistor, which would also probably not be suitable for a 1 kilowatt power supply with high efficiency. And these are marked as capacitor, these are not NTC, this is a metal oxide resistor and this is marked as F, like fuse. What also baffles me is these relays. The contacts are rated 28 volts DC, 125 volts AC, so that's not for mains unless they're in series or something. The 12 amp rating is also too low for the output current, so what the hell these are for? And of course these disc-shaped components are tricky because they can be NTC thermistors, PTC thermistors, metal oxide resistors, capacitors, ceramic ones, but apparently it could also be a fuse. This says F and a number, and given it's a fuse it's open. The other way, a diode. Of course something can be parallel to it in the circuit. Let's desolder it. It's out, and could this be a fuse? Based on the datasheet it's a metal oxide resistor. But it's properly confusing because the board says F301 for this fuse and F302 for this component. It's back, it's not a fuse, it's a bloody metal oxide resistor and a confusing marking on the board. And the diode I was measuring parallel to it is actually this transistor, the MOSFET. It's a body diode from the source to the drain. The source is connected to the neutral. Here's the diode in the transistor. And there's another diode going from this to the drain of the transistor. There are the two 12 volt relays. It seems the coils are in parallel. This is the normally closed contact, normally open, normally closed, normally open. Now the common contacts are actually common for both relays, and the normally open ones are also common. And the neutral goes to the normally open contacts, and this terminal goes to the common contacts, which means basically the relays bypass the neutral to this. Of course, from these two contacts on the board, it continues into the power factor correction rectifier of the power supply. The live goes straight to one of the rectifier terminals, and the neutral goes via this transistor and a diode. Of course, without this diode, the internal diode of this MOSFET would still pass a current in this direction, but with this diode, there is no current if the transistor is off. If it's on, there is a current in 1/2 cycle. And this is probably to pre-charge the big capacitors in the power supply, the two 330 micro 400 volt electrolytic capacitors, the output of this semi-bridgeless power factor correction. Of course, First, this transistor has to turn on and precharge the capacitors, and then the circuit is bypassed using the relays. There is a protective metal oxide resistor on the transistor, but for some reason this relay is not turning on, or two relays which seem to be in parallel. The two relay coils seem to be paralleled, but also the resistance of the coil is actually way too low, just 0.6 ohms. There is absolutely no way it's supposed to be that low. There has to be something shorted. Is this the interparallel diode for the coils? Or is it a transistor? If it was a transistor, it would be basically shorting the coils, wouldn't it? There is a diode, or something like a diode, some junction going from the pin which looks unused to the other two pins. It might be unused, or it might go somewhere. And the board has about 4 layers, so I have no idea where the connections go. I'm just blindly poking it, and I have no idea what I'm doing here. This is again the same resistance. It seems it goes from the coils to these small spots through some other layer and also into this component, which also looks shorted, and this capacitor parallel to the coils. What is shorted on this rail? The relay coils, this 3-pin component, this 3-pin component, or this capacitor? I have to start disconnecting to figure it out. This thing is really difficult to work on. There is a convenient spot to disconnect and reconnect because it's close together. I've disconnected this pin of this component, and the short is still on the relay coils, not on this component. Now I've disconnected this pin of this component, and now the short actually disappeared from the relay coils, and it's 200 ohms, which seems about right for 2 coils in a parallel of 12 volt relays. The short is still there for this tiny component. This small 3-pin semiconductor, whatever it is actually shorted between this pin and this pin. I disconnected this pin by cutting the trace here, going to the capacitor. Let's try to see the detail of the marking. It looks like 704, and the component close to the relay coils. And yes, this thing seems to be a double diode, and the shorted component is a tiny N-channel MOSFET, marked 704, and it's shorted gate to source. And there is one more transistor in the circuit, a bipolar PNP transistor. And this PNP transistor probably switches some auxiliary 12 volt rail into the coils of these relays. And the tiny N-channel MOSFET, once it's on, it actually latches it on until the power goes out. When this transistor is on, it gives a positive voltage to the gate of this one, and this one keeps this one on, so it stays on forever, basically, until disconnected from power. It just requires some initial pulse to turn it on, and then it stays on its own. Unless, of course, this transistor has the gate shorted to the source, so now it doesn't work, the relays can't turn on. I was thinking this might go to some microcontroller, but it seems to actually go via some resistors and a diode to the neutral, so it might be just a simple sensing timing circuit. And the PNP transistor collector to base and emitter to base seems to be also damaged. This should also be 0.7 volts about. And a closer look at the double diode with a common cathode. This is one half of it, and the other one has a different voltage drop. And the other way, the unused part of it is not conductive, and the one that's actually in use seems to be leaking, so it's also probably damaged. And with the multi-layer board, I can't even be sure if this pin goes somewhere through the board or is unused. I should actually cut the pin, which is not common, and leave this one connected for case this was actually going somewhere. And this trace is cut, going to one of the anodes of the diode, the bad one, and a diode is bodged horribly onto the relay coil here. I removed the bad N-channel MOSFET, and I'm putting a similar one from a motherboard into it. And that's it. I also have to bridge the cut trace here. I put few thin copper hairs from here to here. Now let's remove the PNP transistor. And some trashed LCD monitor power supply seems to contain a PNP transistor, which is suitable. So let's desolder it. And put it here. And that's it after cleaning the rosin from it. I'm not noticing anything else bad here, so let's try to reassemble it and see. And now of course the scary part. Let's try to plug it in. Nothing. In what I suppose is the 12 volt rail is just 0.8 volts. So the thing is completely apart again, and I'm looking at the power factor correction board, and it has 5 Schottky diodes here. All the same types, These have a low voltage drop in forward, typical for a big Schottky, good and good. But this one, the fifth one, seems to be shorted or very low resistance in both directions. I've desoldered it, this is in forward, in reverse it's not conductive, and the very low resistance still seems to be on the board. Is it supposed to be that way? This is when it gets really confusing. And there seems to be something shorted on the auxiliary supply rail on the primary side. This is the negative of the main capacitors, and the negative supply pins of these chips are connected to it. This is a power factor correction controller. These are some op-amps, the negative or 0 volt pins, and the positive pins actually show just 10 ohms in reference to the negative, which is odd. If the auxiliary voltage was about 10 volts, it would draw about 1 amp and 10 watts, which is way too much for control circuitry. And there's the capacitor on the rail, also 10 ohms in reference to the 0. This auxiliary supply rail also continues into these ceramic capacitors. This is the positive, this is the negative. This is also negative. These are common. And the positives of these two are actually connected via a 15 ohm resistor, probably some noise filter. This continues into more op-amps, 21 ohms here, 21 ohms here on the rail. That's way too low resistance, but it's actually higher here, so it seems that the short is on this side of this resistor between the positives. This is 6 ohms, this is 21 ohms, and yes, this resistor is 15 ohms. The short has to be on this capacitor's side on the rail, and also the rail continues into the other board. It's just 6 ohms in reference to this one, and this one is the 0 volt rail going into the other board, and this one has to be the low voltage positive going into it. This is getting difficult. If you have a short on a supply rail with a million components on it, it's very difficult to locate it. Now the options are backfeeding some voltage into it from some power supply and looking at it using a thermal camera and seeing what gets hot, or separating these two boards. There is about 10 connections, and being able to see on which board the short is, and also being able to see the components on the board is better. This is my small DIY power supply that sets the current limit to 350 milliamps and the voltage, let's say, to 6 volts. But it's probably going to run in a current limit mode anyway, so it doesn't matter much what voltage I set. Let's connect the power supply to the rail. It starts current limiting at about 2 volts. We have about 2.2 volts in the rail, and at such low voltage it already draws 350 milliamps. And let's just put these numbers into the calculator, Ohm's law with power. 2.2 volts, 350 milliamps, and the resistance comes out very close to what I measured on this rail in this spot, about 6 point something ohms, and the power dissipation in such a resistance should be 770 milliwatts, about 3/4 of a watt. If it's dissipated in a tiny component, this should definitely be visible on a thermal camera. You let it warm up and let's look at it with the thermal camera. And that's the board. Of course some reflections, but the hottest spot seems to be the very spot I'm backfeeding the voltage into. That's the joint. It seems the short has to be on the other board, but very close to this. Let's take a look. On the other board, there seems to be a group of 3 tiny SMD components, probably diodes, and they're quite hot. Nothing else is that hot. One seems to be 117 degrees Celsius. Let's try to cover it. This one is just 93, this one is just 89. It actually seems the one on the right is the hottest, and the other two might be just getting hot from this one, because they are thermally coupled through the traces on the board. Nothing else hot here. Looking at the other side of the smaller board, nothing hot here. Just the board under the diodes, basically. There's the 3 hot components here. Probably diodes. Let's use a hook-shaped probe here. One shows a 0 in reference to the negative rail, and the other side of it 3.6 ohms. The next one, the other side, again 3.6. These are connected. The other side of this one, 5.5. Now the other side of the next one, 5.5. And the last pin, 7.3, which is basically the resistance of the whole rail. So these 3 diodes are in series. They're acting like low resistance resistors. So the silicon in all of them has to be completely obliterated, and the diodes could actually be Zeners. And the SW9 marking on this type of package is a Zener diode between 5.1 and 6 volts, so in total it makes about 15 to 18 volts. And of course getting to these diodes is quite difficult. If I just remove one of them, and this tiny Zener is out of the circuit, I actually accidentally took 2 of them, but whatever. They are no longer diodes, they are now resistors. And the short is gone from the rail. Now it's in kilo ohms. To be sure, I actually took all 3 out, and the traces underneath look like this. These 2 interconnections don't seem to go anywhere else. Nothing seems to be tapped into it. I also measured with the resistance meter these 2 against the positive and the negative rail, and it seems to be open circuit, so nothing seems to be actually using these connections. So I should be able to replace these with just one big Zener, probably something like 15 or 18 volts. And this would make it way easier because I can put the new Zener on these 2 joints, which are way more accessible here. I have an 18 volt 2 watt Zener, dropping slightly less at a low current, about 2 milliamps. So now the Zener is horribly botched in. It's back together again, and one more testing time. Well, it behaves differently. Maybe a too high resistance of this lamp. Okay, 1 kilowatt lamp in series. And it lights up. Nice! I mean the right lamp, not the wrong lamp. And also the green LED here. And this looks like the power supply is working. 24 volts here. Nice! If I bridge the shutdown pins with the resistor, it shuts down. Of course I can't use the lamp in series at higher loads. The lamp in series would have to be several times the power of the load. So let's just go all in. So far it seems to be working. No explosion yet. Of course I have to test it more thoroughly. I also wanted to make some oscilloscope measurements in it. But as always the video is getting bloody long and also taking way too long to make. So that's it then, maybe some more thorough testing of it and seeing the operating waveforms and frequencies on an oscilloscope in the next episode. And if you like these videos, please consider subscribing, supporting my channel on Patreon or using the thanks button, because these videos are quite laborious to make. And big thanks to all of you who already support me. You're making this odd channel possible.